Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to a new video. In the last one we looked at a more budget orientated Z690 motherboard. Today we're going to be doing quite the polar opposite. This is the Maximus Z690 Hero from ASUS ROG Gamers. This is going to be aimed towards 12900K, possibly a 12850K if we see one appear. We did see one with previous generations like the 10850K for example. So this is going to be one for the more enthusiasts, high-end systems. Anyone that's doing intensive CPU work. So we're going to be looking at this in this video, but I also do have some other boards for the more budget or bang for buck that you might be looking for out there. So we've got the Prime Z690P D4, so DDR4 motherboard, and also the B660M AD4. So these are going to be more suited for like the 12700K or even going for the 12400F. So I will have videos on these, so stay tuned for those. But in this one, we're going to be looking at this beast. This is going to be coming in at £520 in the UK. So the 12900K, just for reference, is 569 nice in the UK. So this is going to be what you're going to be pairing together, rather than using a CPU that's half the price, such as the 12600K. So let's get this open and have a little look at what it's all about. I'm going to be doing a full build with this motherboard as well. This has very kindly been loaned out to me from ASUS, and we've also got a really monstrous graphics card to go with it, so stay tuned and doing the bow and sub and all that stuff so you don't miss that build. So we've got the top down running so you can see everything a little bit better. So Windows 11 is going to be the platform of choice for using Z690 or Intel 12th gen. Other things, they've got Optane, DDR5, nothing overly specific on the actual top of the box, but on the back we've got some more details. So robust power, it actually comes with an M.2 card as well, which I'll show you as well. USB 3.2 Gen 2x2 with a power delivery of 60 watts. It's very good for any of you that might be using devices that have a higher power watt draw for charging. All the different specs and things, but we'll go through all the different ports and stuff are on the board as we look at it. I'm going to open it this way because ASUS ROG boxes always have a very nice special way of opening. And we've got a plastic cover for the motherboard itself, but I'm actually going to take this section out and then we'll look at the accessories that are included first. So we've got a USB stick, USB 3. This is a 32 gig stick, I believe, and it's got all your drivers and stuff on there and software. So should you not have internet connection available immediately, you can get your Ethernet drivers onto your system to be able to then update to the latest stuff. Here's the M.2 card. Lovely metal heatsink on this. It's nice and heavy as well. Definitely got some nice weight to it. Some nice texturing of the ROG logo on the side, so you can get that in the light. There you go. Let's just quickly open this just so you can see it. So there you go, that's the heatsink off, and then we've got our two M.2 slots. Up to 110mm NVMe cards you can put on this. This is quite a nice solution actually, because if you were to go and put your NVMe drives in the actual motherboard and you're doing maybe a hardline system, it's going to be really difficult to get those NVMe's in after the fact you've plumbed it all up. So of course you'll have to be careful and make sure you can slide this in and everything once you've done your tubes and stuff. But I would have thought it would be a little bit easier to put this in than get your M.2s, especially if you've got a graphics card in there already. So it's quite a nice way to add some additional storage after the fact if you find you're filling up your drives with massive files such as Call of Duty. Okay, so popping that back in, underneath here we've got the usual documents and stuff. There's also some stickers, information about your motherboard layout. You've got your warranty info and then your usual manual. And in the left hand side we've got lots of goodies. In this bag we've got 4 SATA cables, 2 of which are right angled, a ROG keychain, we've got a RGB extension cable, a addressable RGB to 3-pin adapter. Got the Fantech stuff uses 3 pins, so that's handy to have. Got a Wi-Fi antenna which seems to be magnetic, so you can stick it onto the back of your case if you're using that. Got a graphics card support bracket, seems to be quite a common thing seen with the Z690 boards, but quite handy if you need it. We've got like what used to be called Qconnect. I'm not sure if it's still the same, but you can plug all of your front panel stuff into this little block, and then that all goes onto one. Can be quite convenient if you're working in a tighter case. Got some pads for M.2 drives, and then also the quick adapters for the M.2 drives. Love those. They're so much more convenient than just screwing in everything every time. There's also some of the more traditional ones in there as well. So where do we even start with this behemoth. It weighs so much as well. Usually the extremes are the super heavy boards, but the Hero this time is really, really beefy. There's no backplate or anything, it's just like pure quality. So yeah, very heavy even without a backplate. Let's start up with the top. We've got this really nice heatsink for the VRMs and the power delivery. Let's see if we can get a nice shot of those chokes under there. But that's where most of the weight's going to be, because it's just like one big piece of machined metal. Here's going to be one of the lit zones. It's kind of got a mirror effect on there, but when it's powered up, that will shine through. Maximus Hero across the top. I will do these peels as of when I'm actually building it. We've got a M.2 slot here, which is going to be PCI 5, and it's got the quick locks on it as well, which I really love. When you're actually, building your PC, and if you're not going to be taking it apart and doing stuff like testers or reviewers do, it's not going to make too much difference if you're going to be screwing, a single screw down, and you're not going to touch it for however many years. But I think this feature for guys that are going to be doing benchmarks and swapping hardware in and out all the time is going to be really helpful. That saves you so much time. You've got another one on the end there if you're going to be using 110mm drives, but for the majority, 80mm is going to be the way that you're going to go about it. As well as that M.2 drive, we've also got another one down here. If we just take the cover off, we've got another 2 slots down here. So we've got another quick release on that one and on the one on the right. There's a thermal pad on that one already, but there isn't on the left hand side, so just make sure you're going to be using the right one. If you've got chips on the other side, then use the side with the thermal pad. Pcie Lanes, this is PCI 5. Now one feature I absolutely love, I think the Strix has this as well, is when you've got your graphics card in, traditionally if you need to get it out and you may be using an AIO that's got a big pump on it, sometimes you'd find that you have to use a ruler and slide it in to actually disengage that lock. It can be a real pain, and sometimes you can scratch stuff up as well. It's not ideal. So ASUS have implemented this button here, which will pull a wire to then open that slot. Now, it may not seem like a big deal for those of you that, will only replace things every couple of years or whatever. But again, another feature for people that are benchmarking or reviewing stuff, to be able to press that button and undo that latch is so helpful. Simple, but very effective. We've got another lighting zone here with the ASUS logo. We've got another PCI slot, and then that's another reinforced one. Additional one down the bottom if you're going to be using that, but Crossfire SLI is not really a thing anymore, so it's unlikely you're going to be using the bottom one. Maybe if you're going to be using the additional Hyper M.2 cards, you might put that in the second one. Of course, we've got our socket for our 12th gen processor. And then obviously to the right, we've got our DDR5 slot. As I mentioned, this will take up to 64 megahertz overclocked RAM. Kingston very kindly sent over their Fury Beast DDR5 for me to use on all my 12th gen stuff that requires DDR5. This is 6,000 megahertz. And I understand this is rarer than hen's teeth at the moment, so big thank you to Kingston for sending this out. I'll be using this in pretty much everything that requires DDR5, so it will definitely get a lot of use. In terms of capacity on how much memory you can put, it's 128 gigabytes as far as I can remember. To the right of that, we've got some onboard controls, which is really nice, especially if you're a reviewer or benchmarker. Save you having to actually jump the pins down at the bottom. Got a post readout screen, and then there's also 4 fan headers on the top. They're 4-pin PWM. We've got a addressable RGB header, and there's also a retry button as well that I just missed along by the onboard controls. On the very top, we've got 2 8-pin EPS power connectors. Now 12th gen is going to be one of the platforms that you're likely to be overclocking if you're going to be using 12900Ks, so you are going to need to have 2 of those 8 pins for that. There are some boards that don't have that, or it might be an 8 and a 4, such as the one I looked at before, but like I said, this is the high-end enthusiast board, so you're going to need to have 2 8-pins. So additional fans to the 4 that we got at the top. There's also one down here, which is a pump fan, and then also 3 channel fans there, so you've got a total of 8 on the board. There's none around the actual socket itself, so they're all either at the top or at the bottom, so it's going to make cable management a lot more neater, which I personally like. I don't like seeing wires that kind of go to the middle of the board, just a little bit of an OCD thing for me, so top and bottom are in really great positions. You've also got a standard 12-volt RGB header there, and there's also 2 more addressable RGB headers, 2 USB 2 headers, and then moving around we've got 2 USB 3 headers, 6 SATA ports, then we've got the USB 3 2x2, so your USB-C header. There's also an additional 6-pin if you're going to be really overclocking your graphics cards, get some extra power to those PCI lanes, and the 24-pin motherboard connector. So jam-packed so far, but we're not finished yet. Let's look at the I/O. So we've got a clear CMOS button, very handy if you're going to be changing out any components. BIOS update, and then the relevant USB slot is there just to update your BIOS if you need to do that. Got a normal traditional USB port there. HDMI, quite handy for troubleshooting. You've got 3 USB-C ports, 2 of which are Thunderbolt 4, a super speed USB-C, and then you've got 6 traditional USB 3s, as well as a 2.5 gig LAN. Here are your antenna connections, and then you've got your sound options and an SPDIF out should you need it. So lots of options for this motherboard, and I'm very looking forward to building and featuring the 12900K as well. So I think that's it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. I will leave links for this and the 12900K in the description box below if you are thinking about upgrading to Intel 12th Gen. Thank you to ASUS for sending this out for me to look at, and I'll be featuring this in the build very soon, which I'm really looking forward to. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and ding the bell if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one.